1230 WBBP, 1460 WNBA, 99.3 FM, 95.7 FM. It's Teleforum. My name is Eddie Crow. This is currently being live broadcast streamed, in addition to everywhere I just told you, on Facebook. And the reason that's happening is because my guests today are commissioners. We want you to ask the commissioners. Jack Manning and Tony Amadio join me. Jack's to my right. Tony is to Jack's right. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good to see you again. I can't believe it's May, but we're here. It doesn't feel like May yet, but it's good to be here.
It doesn't feel like May. It's supposed to by the end of the week, though.
I hope so.
So we're going to go from scraping ice, the truck agrees, we're going to go from scraping ice to having to mow twice a week.
Well, it's Beaver County History Weekend, Saturday and Sunday, so hoping the weather's decent there.
Oh, no, it's supposed to be beautiful.
We have
start with that.
26 historical sites around the county that are open, from Hookstown to Ambridge to the Vickery House in Freedom, and my wife runs the McKinley Schoolhouse, so I need to put a plug in if you want to see me, my wife. And a one-room schoolhouse, I'll be there most of this weekend.
They used to have a bus that went around to each place, but I guess not doing
No, it's kind of an individual. They do have these little passports where you kind of get stamped at all the ones you
like a sandwich.
You visit. No, nothing like that.
Well, I'm not saying they're going to feed you, but it's a similar concept.
Right.
All right, as a teacher, former teacher, Mr. Amadio. Retired. The idea of a one-room schoolhouse. You got literally maybe 20 kids in there, but you've got 5-year-olds, you've got 16-year-olds. Would that have been a cool thing to teach?
Yes, absolutely.
Why?
Talk about the open concept. That's perfect.
Don't talk education with me.
Well, in its heyday, McKinley Schoolhouse probably only had 25 kids in there of varying ages and stuff.
And they were probably teaching from 1st to 8th grade.
And my wife has examples of some of the readers and different things in the bell they used and all that stuff. It's pretty cool. And there was a one-room schoolhouse in Brighton Township.
There's one down at the fairgrounds, too.
And Hookstown's got some stuff.
You're talking about Little House on the Prairie. I mean, that's how people envision it.
This is Little House on the Fair.
Yeah.
Little house.
It was farm. It was farm country, especially in Chippewa, that area, and everything. And they used to walk or get dropped off by wagon or whatever. Also, when the Air Heritage Museum is open, that's always a nice place to visit on the weekend. See all the vintage planes. They do a great job at Air Heritage. So a lot of good things to see. It's nice to celebrate the history and some of the legacy of Beaver County.
How nice is it to get a vision of relative normalcy after the last 3 years? Something I noticed at the pancake sausage music.
It's great to see people.
That's it.
It's great.
Do you know how much you need people until they're gone? I'm sure there's a folk song about that.
Yes.
But is it heartwarming, I guess, to see events like what you're talking about and what we're starting to see? Car cruises.
I think that was significant for us to finally get that back. And again, I just think Push Beaver County and some of the people that volunteered, they worked their butts off to make that happen. I know there were some glitches here or there. The weather wasn't the best. It seems like, and Tony's probably experienced more of these than I have. It seems like whatever weekend we pick, it's always challenging weather for the Maple Syrup Festival. But there's an estimate of 10,000 people showed up for that thing. They served a lot of the pancakes. Probably more people than that, but that's I think about how many pancakes they end up.
When I was a center fire, well, I'm still a center fireman. But when I was a young center fireman and ran the fireman's fair, we always planned for at least one rain day because we knew we were going to get it. And
that's what we had. It rained off and on Saturday, but I was there Sunday. It didn't rain. It wasn't sunny, but people were.
But Saturday it rained, and it kept the crowds down on Saturday. But
my wife.
But we always get at least one day.
All right, it's Ask the Commissioners. Tony Amadio and Jack Manning are my guests. If you want to call your questions in, absolutely, 724-843-1888 or 724-774-1888. If you're watching this on Facebook, you can just post your question in the comments section. And I'm going to do something a little bit different. Every time we do this, I've got notes and I've got stuff scribbled down, but Mr. Manning, I can't help but notice you've got notes there. You've led a meeting or two in your life, haven't you?
Well, that's only to remind me that our friend Mike Romine had brought up the issue of the trains in Bridgewater crossing.
You have wonderful penmanship for a man.
Thank you.
Well reacted to. I don't know if that was sexist or just generally creepy.
Okay. All right.
I'm glad. All right, let's start with that. I've got questions about what he talked about. It's about Bridgewater?
I think there's a
Crossing.
misunderstanding. Bridgewater Crossing and the condos that are built there on that property, the misnomer is that people thought that was county property that was sold to the developer that built the condos.
Okay.
That the people in the condos are now complaining about the trains, which is an issue because the trains have changed. But those tracks and that bridge and been there forever, right? But that property was sold to that developer by the Beaver County Corporation for Economic Development. It predates me, but that property was sold there, and as part of that deal, and I'm not sure Tony would have more details, I guess, but that property was
preemptively throwing
the
you into the fray.
No. The riverfront property was gifted to the county as part of that deal.
So that
the
part
Bridgewater
of it's
Park
county.
is county.
Okay.
But the other stuff was a deal between the CED and the developer to build those condos.
Little interesting fact about that property.
Okay.
That was once Canada a long, long time ago.
Wait, what?
Remember the Intolerable Acts?
No.
Oh.
I wasn't a teacher. I
You didn't
was the
pay-
kid that the teacher hated.
Well, you're supposed to pay attention. in
Well, I
school.
paid just enough attention to, as Spicoli said, to cruise that class. All right, the what acts?
The Quebec, well, the Intolerable
The
Acts. One of
Quebec.
them, yeah, the Quebec Act was one of
Well,
them.
see, that's why they were mad. You say it the way they
I
don't
know.
like. Quebec.
Quebec. But anyway, it brought the boundary of Canada down to the northernmost part of the Ohio River, which is, guess where?
Right.
Right there.
Bridgewater, Rochester. Yeah. So I'm not sure what happened to the deed.
Okay.
How the deed got from Canada
Yeah.
to the CED.
Well,
All I
we
know
got
is-
it back. I think something called the Revolutionary War.
All I know is the CED had ownership of that, and that's how that went. But on the
So
issue
why
of the
not they
trains,
fly an American flag?
I don't know.
Next to a Canadian flag at those condos. All right, back to the trains.
I can bring that up for history. But
No, you won't.
there is an issue. The trains have been slowing down. Traffic has been backed up
It's
quite a bit.
backing up
in
because they're
Conway.
waiting to get into the Conway yards,
Yep,
right?
yep. And they're moving slower because they've been asked to move slower after post the derailment, right? And the trains are getting longer, but it's all over Beaver County. I've gotten complaints from New Galilee, from West Bayfield, from Beaver Falls.
They're just being.
Well, no, they're idling longer as well. So they may not be blocking crossings, but they're sitting there and idling for hours. I had one resident in the Beaver Falls, West Mayfield boundary there, where the tracks come right through, and say that it's not unusual for 4, 5, or 6 hours that those trains are idling, stalled, waiting for stuff in the middle of the night, waiting for stuff to clear up so they can go there. So it is
why
a
is
concern,
this-
but when it's blocking a crossing, obviously first responders are handicapped by trying to get.
Why is
get
this
access.
happening now when I've never heard of it before? It seems awfully coincidental.
The
that
focus
it's
is on the railroads right now. People are starting to realize how powerful the railroads really are.
They're monolithic.
The government's trying to pass legislation right now. Casey is one of the sponsors, Senator Casey, to regulate some of this and to control. It's going to be interesting once the lobbyists come in to see where this legislation is going to go. But that's crap that that an engine can block or a train can block an
No, it's
important
dangerous.
crossing.
It should be illegal. It's
There are
The
rules on
bottom
the
line.
books
The
now.
bottom line is that needs to be accessible
All
in
the
case of
time.
an emergency
Right.
all the time. Now I understand if a train's going by, that's one thing, but to park your train and block the intersection is just incorrigible.
I saw that they were writing legislation, and that was another example of. I figured there would have been legislation that already said trains can't
It
block
is.
intersections.
There is that, but how do you enforce that? It's difficult, but there are laws about how long they can sit and block a rail crossing. And those are on the books. I think they're trying to tighten them up. But Senator Casey, Fetterman, Sherrod Brown, J.D. Vance, they have a bipartisan bill It's going on in D.C. right now. They're having hearings on it. A lot of it, it involves the length of trains, the safety on trains, the number of people that are on the trains,
Right.
the technology in the trains, the reporting of that. But it has to have some enforcement, has to have some teeth in it, because and I think I mentioned this maybe last time, I read the National Safety Transportation Board's recommendations after the train derailment up the road here in New Brighton, when some ethyl alcohol cars caught on fire in the Beaver River. There were 5 or 6 recommendations that they made, half of which were never implemented because the National Transportation Safety Board has no enforcement authority. They do root cause analysis. They said, here's what happened, here's what we need to do, here are recommendations. But if Congress doesn't act to have a law
To give them the
with some
power.
teeth
Yeah.
that actually forces the railroads to
Give a crap?
to adhere
I'll say
to
it.
those things, then nothing's going to change.
The government has to be letting this occur, because I've been living in Beaver County since the 50s, early 50s. I grew up in a little town where we were surrounded by the tracks. You had the tracks, the river, more tracks. Trains were constantly going through our area. We had the largest exchange place at Conway up until recently. I think there's one that's bigger now. I mean, I couldn't go to sleep when I moved to the country because of the silence.
You couldn't hear. It's like
Right,
where
because the trains were
sounds,
clanging.
yeah.
But we never had any of those kinds of problems. We never had to deal with the railroads like we are now. And I think I mentioned this the last time I was here. When we built the Veterans Bridge, dealing with the railroads added 8 or 9 years to that process, because we had to deal with them. They had to tear down the overhead passes, rebuild the passes. It was all on that one side of the bridge, the Veterans Bridge.
How much more difficult is it to undo something than it is to keep something from happening in the first place? Because we're at the undo part. We've spoken on the air and off the air about this. The people that are in charge of everything with the railroads are the railroads. From the land to the safety to the decisions to everything. Can we swim back against it, or is it lobbyist money like you were
Let's
talking
go back
about?
how powerful the railroads are.
Yeah.
When
They're for the parts of
chairman, the
monopoly.
president came to visit us, he had more security than our senators did. So what's that tell you?
It tells me he's probably not particularly well liked.
That's pretty much what it is.
Is that what it is? The more security you got.
That's
yeah.
how I took it, and I can't blame him for that, but I can blame them for stonewalling improvements to the safety of the rail and being able to prevent one of those from happening. I have great faith in the National Safety Transportation Board. I've known them in my industry days. They do a great job. They get to the heart of the matter, and they will make good, sound recommendations on how we can prevent that from happening again, and how we can better prepare first responders if something does happen.
We're 3 months, 3 months and a day past the train derailment,
February 3rd.
Yeah.
Yep, February 3rd.
Okay. Do you feel better as time goes on because we're maintaining focus, or are you losing? Because as a problem gets in the rearview mirrors, if it doesn't affect you, we have a tendency to forget about it.
Yeah, no, I've said this before when people ask me, is anything going to change? I have never seen this much bipartisan support in a very contentious, cantankerous congressional era where both sides can't talk about anything. They are agreeing on this and they're coming together. Still some details, some good points there, I think, may fall off the wayside as they finally do that. But I'm convinced that there will be a good, sound outcome and oversight of the trains going forward.
We just want to make our people whole.
Yeah.
And if you live in the middle of that, you're still not whole
Right.
3 months and a day later.
Right.
No,
Even if everything stays the same, which is good, that perception is still out there. I mean, I keep pounding it. You know, if the land's good, fine, but people have to believe the land's good. They have to believe the crops on the land are good. They have to believe the animals that eat the crops are good.
Right.
Otherwise, they're just not going to buy the products.
They're not going to buy the products, and that town's going to go the way of,
Right.
what's the town in Centralia?
Oh yeah, the fire
The underground fire that will never
lasted
go on.
forever. Yeah.
It is, ask the commissioners, you can call 724-843-1888 or 724-774-1888. You can also post your question on the live Facebook feed. Joe says, good morning, all, on the live Facebook feed. We'll talk more
Morning.
about...
Good morning,
Joe.
I haven't brought up the naked commissioner thing yet. That's on purpose. I'll bring it up after the news. That's gross. It's Teleforum on Beaver County Radio.
Hey, Beaver County, there is a specialty bubble tea shop in New Brighton, Slurp and Burst Boba Tea. Visit them today and try one of their signature drinks. From smoothies, lemonades, slushies, milk teas, hot drinks, and more. Pick one or try them all. Pick a boba, a flavor, and a base and create your own drink. Looking to host a birthday party for kids or adults? They have you covered. Or how about a ladies' tea party? They have you covered there too. Stop by and book the event room. That's Slurp and Burst Boba Tea on 3rd Avenue in New Brighton. Come party with them.
If your monthly cash flow has slowed to a trickle, but your needs at this time of the year could use a full stream of cash, Friendly Federal Credit Union has just turned the spigot on for you in the form of our annual Shower of Loans event. This is Cindy Amadio, and the forecast is calling for showers. Go ahead and get soaked with cash for the things you need because Friendly Federal Credit Union has personal signature loans available. Right now, that can be used for just about anything. Feel that? I think it's starting to drizzle. Credit approval is required. In addition, applications for the Carl D. Ross and Anthony S. Pay Memorial Scholarships are now being accepted through the end of June. Click friendlyfcu.org or visit the Ella Crippa or Baden office for more information or to apply. It's the place that makes more sense for you and makes the most out of springtime showers. Friendly Federal Credit Union, member NCUA, Equal Housing Lender.
Tune in to Live Mike with Mike Romai, presented by Heritage Valley Health System. Weekdays from 6:30 a.m. to 9 a.m. It's an all-new show on Beaver County Radio, where Mike discusses the issues important to Beaver County.
Urinated at a car wash in front of children. Oh, yeah. And police officers.
I think it's the end of society as we know it. I think it's one of the signs of the apocalypse.
There's also special guests, weather, sports with Matt Durzik, and news every half hour with Curtis Walsh. So tune in to Live Mike with Mike Romai, weekdays, right here on Beaver County Radio. 95.7 and 99.3 FM, along with WBVP, WMBA, and BeaverCountyRadio.com, invite you to tune in to Sounds of Faith. Tune in Sunday mornings from 7 until 9 for a mix of the best sacred music of all time. Sounds of Faith is brought to you by Crawford Tire and Beaver, the William Murphy Funeral Home, City Rescue Mission, MRS Physical Therapy, Circle of Friends, J&J Spratt Funeral Home, and Rome Monument and Inspirational Gifts. Sounds of Faith, uplifting, relaxing, and inspiring radio. Sunday mornings from 7 until 9 on 95.7 and 99.3 FM, along with WBVP, WMBA, and BeaverCountyRadio.com.
Hey, it's time to wake up, Beaver Valley. Hi, this is Pastor David Grove from the Church of the Redeemed of Beaver Valley. After over 2 years on the air, it seems that some of you still cannot get up in time. So I've got good news. Wake Up Beaver Valley is moving to a new time, now airing from 9 to 10, this and every Saturday morning. It's time to wake up and turn our hearts back to the cross of Jesus Christ. So I invite you to wake up early this Saturday. To find out more, it's Wake Up Beaver Valley, Saturdays from 9 until 10 a.m. on Beaver County Radio. God bless you.
Beaver County Radio's news source, 95.7 and 99.3 FM, along with 1230 WBVP, 1460 WMBA, and streaming at BeaverCountyRadio.com. Here's Curtis Walsh.
Good morning. We can expect a slight chance of showers today with otherwise cloudy skies and a high near 59 degrees. We'll have a complete Beaver County radio weather forecast after this look at news. One of Beaver County's summer spots is returning in 2023. Matt Durzik has further details on the story from yesterday's County Commissioners' work session.
Following last week's announcement that the Old Economy Pool will be open this summer under operation from the Beaver County YMCA, Parks and Recreation Director Tony Calturi spoke at Wednesday's work session about the plans being put in place. He said that daily rates will be the exact same as they were when the pool last operated in 2021, but that season passes will be slightly higher. Calturi also lauded the YMCA for another part of their reopening process.
They will be able to bring their summer food program to the pool, so they'll be providing free lunches to school-age children as well. So I think it's a great partnership already. So we're excited about that.
The full story from yesterday's work session can be found at beavercountyradio.com. County Courthouse, I'm Matt Durzik for Beaver County Radio News.
Community College of Beaver County will host hundreds of graduates and their families for the 54th annual commencement ceremony today at 6 p.m. at the campus's historic dome. CCBC's 2023 commencement will incorporate many traditional ceremonial elements, including pomp and circumstance, the national anthem, inspiring remarks from CCBC President Dr. Roger Davis that will connect graduates with the force, and the reading of each graduate's name for the conferring of degrees and certificates from CCBC's 4 academic schools. The ceremony will also include student success stories from graduates ages 20 to 81 and a celebration of May the 4th with special lighting effects, iconic Star Wars music, and more. Sandy Giordano reports Aliquippa City Council adopted a resolution to apply for a $230,000 grant to support their Act 47 exit plan. They approved the Keystone Communities Program, the Brick Site Clearance Project's first amendment, extending it to June 30th of 2024. Council approved the motion for the 2023 allocation of $10,000 to support B.F. Jones Memorial Library. Police Chief John Lane told police that 54 car thefts have occurred since January 27th, and Street and Road Superintendent Alex Scott reported that tree removal in the downtown area is set to begin, and street sweeping will begin as well. Congressman Chris DeLuzio released a statement in support of the nursing home therapists at the Brighton Rehab Wellness Center. DeLuzio said he calls on Brighton Rehabilitation and Wellness Center to do the right thing and return to the bargaining table ready to discuss fair wage increases for its hardworking therapist staff members. He says he met with nursing home workers in March and heard firsthand the difficulties and challenges staff face every day in the workplace, caring for some of the most vulnerable among us. The next bargaining session is scheduled for May 9th, and this is the first contract negotiation for the group that unionized last year. The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame has revealed its class of 2023. Rage Against the Machine, Willie Nelson, Missy Elliott, Kate Bush, George Michael, Sheryl Crow, and the Spinners will all be inducted at a ceremony held in Brooklyn this year on November 3rd. The inductees are determined by an international voting body of more than 1,000 artists, historians, and members of the music industry. In order to be eligible, a nominee's first recording must have been released at least 25 years prior.
Here's the Beaver County forecast on 95.7 and 99.3 FM, along with 1230 WBVP, 1460 WMBA, and streaming at beavercountyradio.com.
We'll have a slight chance of rain showers today with otherwise cloudy skies and a high near 59 degrees. Some patchy fog late tonight with cloudy skies going down to a low of 37. Some patchy fog to start the morning tomorrow, otherwise clearing up for sunny skies and a high near 66. Mostly sunny on Saturday with a high near 72, and mostly sunny Sunday, warming up to a high of 76. That's a look at the news for now. I'm Curtis Walsh on 99.3 FM, 95.7 FM, 1230 WBVP, 1460 WMBA, and streaming live around the world at beavercountyradio.com.
You're listening to Beaver County Radio, 1230 WBVP Beaver Falls and 1460 WMBA Ambridge, broadcasting live from the St. Barnabas Studios.
Okay.
It is Ask the Commissioners this fine Thursday morning. Tony Amadio is here with me. Jack Manning is here with me. If you don't believe me, you can see for yourself on the live Facebook feed. You can also post your questions in the comment section on the live Facebook feed. You can also call 724-843-1888 or 724-774-1888. I have questions, but I think we have a caller first. Do we have a caller? Curtis, make the magic happen. Do we have a caller? Hi. Now we don't?
Okay.
Oh. You scared him off with your preparation, with your notes. I didn't ask you guys about the reassessment, and that's a rule, and I'm going to do that. But Jerry wrote in on the live Facebook feed. A report yesterday stated Western PA and Beaver County are still shedding population. What kind of ancillary business have we attracted with the cracker plant now in operation? We built it. When are they coming? I like the word ancillary. That sounds fancy. We are shedding population still?
Look, southwestern Pennsylvania is dying off faster than it's repopulating. It's just not Beaver County. And actually, our decline has slowed compared to surrounding counties. What has happened since the cracker plant came, over the last 5 years, data through last year, Beaver County is one of only 5 counties in the Commonwealth that had positive job growth. Allegheny County has lost 50,595 jobs over the last 10 years.
That's not lost jobs because they teleworked for 2 years. These are jobs that disappeared in Allegheny County.
They disappeared.
Okay.
Right? So they've had a negative job growth of 50,000 in Allegheny County. Washington County, even Butler County, that is the only county in the region that's had positive population growth. And most of that's due to people moving out of Allegheny County into Butler County. More than likely. That's where they've had some positive growth. Lancaster County was the top, and only one of 5. Again, Lancaster County was over the last 5 years about a little less than 5,000 jobs. We were 4th. We created about 1,500 jobs.
Okay.
Not all because of the cracker plant, by the way. If you go to our legacy riverfront towns and you look at the entrepreneurism, you look at the new businesses that are out here in Beaver Falls and in Ambridge and in Aliquippa and in Monaca, we've got job growth happening through small businesses. That doesn't happen if the cracker plant doesn't come. The mall doesn't continue to exist if the cracker plant doesn't come.
People don't realize how rare that is. Yeah.
Stolte Glass over in Austria doesn't say, wow, what's happening in Beaver County as a result of the cracker plant, and invest $3 to $6 million and increase 100 jobs at what was the former Anchor Hockey. St. Barnabas doesn't buy the Michael Baker campus if Shell doesn't announce they're coming. So I get a little annoyed with this, nothing's happened because of the cracker plant. Yes, there's about 600 new jobs with the cracker plant, but we've lost a lot of the jobs between Bruce Mansfield and all the other closers that were there. So it's kind of it's a net neutral from that standpoint.
Okay.
But you look at all the other businesses, the new businesses that have come in that are populating our downtowns, and I'm telling you that doesn't happen if there isn't a revitalization and there isn't an economy that's based on $8 billion coming in and a lot of people having disposable income and supporting our restaurants, our small towns, and our retail businesses around here. So a lot has happened.
Should we appreciate breaking even? It's like going to the casino. If you leave without losing, you're ahead, because that's what it sounds like.
This region's up against it. Yes. It is old, and we're dying off faster. The Pittsburgh metropolitan area has the fastest or the highest natural death rate of any metropolitan area in the country. Yeah. It's number one. So it's an aging demographic. We have to attract and retain a lot of new people to fill these jobs.
I think our area is second only to Florida.
I remember hearing that Allegheny County, age-wise, was the second oldest county behind Miami-Dade, I believe it was.
Yeah.
But the key word he's trying to use is ancillary. What he's trying to refer to, there's no Mattel plastic company moving here. There's no major plant of that nature.
Nobody's showing up, starting another plant, going, we came here because of that plant.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
we're booming. I mean, businesses are popping up everywhere.
That's not entirely true. There's been a zinc plant, a titanium plant that's come in. There's some other businesses that have come in that support the construction industry. Ambridge Value in Ambridge there, that warehousing stuff, that's full of all kinds of businesses, some of which directly support, like a fork truck repair company. Again, they got a lot of forklifts and stuff there.
Right.
They come in and they started up in Ambridge Value and added a whole bunch of jobs. So while it isn't necessarily the downstream businesses from the petrochemical company business, the polyethylene business, which I never thought was going to happen, I can explain that if you want. But the support business is to keep a plant running and to do the construction that's happening around here in the construction industry. That has come and that has materialized.
Did people expect downstream businesses because that was the before time?
Yeah.
It was started.
They never
steel
said that when
somewhere.
they came here, though.
Right. And
They said that their 750-mile radius, they were going to ship. And if you go by the plant, you'll see the rail cars. They're just lined up.
they're not
Hundreds
blocking,
of
not blocking the roads.
They're
are
not
they?
blocking the roads,
Okay.
no. And the tanker cars, they're shipping that stuff out to all the businesses.
So I spent 35 years in that industry, polypropylene, polystyrene, polyethylene business. A pound of polyethylene is sold delivered. So if you're in Irvine, California, or Indiana, PA, you're paying the same price per pound delivered. There is no incentive for someone who's making Procter & Gamble detergent jugs in Ohio to move to southwestern PA or Illinois or Indiana or anything else. If you're expanding your business or you're in Europe and you want to bring new business here, then we might get those businesses. But all of the Mattel toys, the Procter & Gambles, the people that are high consumers of polyethylene are not going to uproot the existing plant and come here unless they've got some gangbuster new product and they want to expand their capacity significantly. So I was one that never felt that the downstream businesses were going to materialize as much as other competing things
support
to support
businesses.
Yep. That's my opinion.
Is that
that's not
where that
Shell's or
mentality-
anybody else. That's my opinion based on my experience working in that industry for 35 years.
And one of the major reasons they came here was the transportation system, the railroad system.
Well, sure, the
highway
trains.
system. Yeah,
Location,
Yeah.
right?
So-
Rivers, trains, turnpike, interstate, and again, you put a point in Beaver County and draw an 8-hour trucking time, and you're hitting 75% of your market already.
Yeah.
Shell got all the advantage by being first and coming here and building that plant, because now they back the raw material up to their plant, because raw material costs and raw material transportation goes away. And now they've got everything backed up right to the plant, and all they have to do is make product and move it on.
They used Grove City as the focal point, and from there in a 750-mile radius, it was their business plan.
And going back just for a second to that downstream, downriver thing, do people have it in their head that that's the way it's supposed to be? Because that's the way it was with steel. Steel started at one end, and by the time it got to the other end, it had been stamped or forged or something into something.
That's the way it was in Aliquippa.
Wow.
Yeah,
and
but still,
Pittsburgh.
It was still being delivered to build the Golden Gate Bridge or the Empire State Building or everything in between, between American Bridge and all those companies that did that. So I don't know. To me, it's the people that will help them make the product and maintain the plant that are the businesses that are coming to this area. But anyway, I take solace in the fact that at least we've had job growth. I did my part. My daughter-in-law's son and 3-year-old grandson moved into Beaver County last year. So
I got that.
That's a net 3.
Where's your kin?
So, it's a tough thing to do. But again, we're not in this alone. This entire region has a population crisis.
And we're doing better than most of the
Beaver
people
County
around
is
us.
doing better than a lot of our surrounding counties. Our median age has actually dropped a little bit. So we are getting younger. And we have slowed the decline. We were on a trajectory in 2015 to be at about 163,500 people from the last census that has at 170. We ended up at 168.5 or so, right?
Oh, cool.
So that's what I said. We have had some, but if you go 10-year periods, and in this case, because of COVID, it was like a 12-year period before they finally did the final
stopped the
census count.
exodus.
We have stopped it, and we are actually moving up.
But we still have people dying because our population's elderly.
It's aging.
We are elderly.
Yeah.
All three of us.
I know. Yeah, I got it.
Just want to make that perfectly clear.
It's Ask the Commissioners. The browbeating continues with Tony Amadio and Jack Manning, and it's a rare day. We have made it almost through an entire Ask the Commissioners, and I haven't used the R word. The reassessment. Where are we with that? Are people still burning, comptrollers in effigy? I realize that was wrong, but people are misinformed and wrong. Are they learning?
Last I heard last week, I think there's been about 11,500-ish appeals, in that range.
Okay.
And we expected there to be 10 to 12,000
Not appeals, but meetings.
Yeah.
Meetings.
Questions.
Yeah,
Question and answer periods.
That are likely to move over into the next phase.
Right.
What is the next phase?
But the major problem that people are having is they're taking their new value and they're trying to multiply it times the old millage. And it just blows their mind because it's
wasn't the old millage or
26 mils, which is 0.026, and now it's 0.0035.
That's official because that was suggested millage.
Because it depends on the amount of appeals and how that money goes. I mean, it'll be just a little bit up or down.
Okay.
It's not going to be exaggerant. It's going to be that amount close to it. But if you take the old millage and multiply it times your new assessment, you're going to think you're going to get killed in that. My county taxes went up $174.
Does that annoy you? Are you happy with that?
Listen, we fought this all the way to the Supreme Court. What do you think?
Yeah.
That's why I asked.
Mine are probably going up about, I think the math shows $230, I guess. But I got to tell you, I mean, I have some acreage there that I've been paying taxes on at assessed value that was way, way, way below market value. So I'm not surprised. Most of mine is on the vacant land that I have, those few acres. So I anticipated that, and I believe it's fair. I think they got my house value right on, and most of the people I've talked to with the residential, I think they've been pretty close. I think where some of the consternation has been is big farms and stuff. I think some of those may be overvalued. And the commercial businesses downtown. I think some of what we're hearing there sounds a little high. Yeah.
Mine's over 100,000 more than what Zillow has been saying.
Zillow. Oh, the
real estate.
The real estate. This is what your house worth if you try and sell it.
Right.
So your assessment's six
over
figures
100,
different.
Yeah. But what am I going to do?
But to put it in perspective for people, the assessed value that was on the books for the 88,000 taxable parcels was somewhere in the 2.2 billion range. That was the total assessed value. And we were collecting about $57.5 million, I'm rounding here, off of that 2.2 billion. Tyler, in this process, is now saying those 88,000 taxable parcels are worth $16 billion. We're still only going to collect $57.5 million of tax, and that's where that 26 mils on that 2.2 billion to get that 57.5 is now 16 billion, 57.5, and it comes down to 3.6.
And we said we were not going to raise. We're not going to take the 10%. We're not taking any of that.
Yeah, the law does allow you to go up to 10% on a reassessment. We're not doing that, but again, and Antonio reemphasized as well, we don't control the schools. Or the municipalities, right? The other two taxing authorities that exist. So hopefully.
But fortunately for us, they have to take an official vote to raise it to that.
It can't just be, all right, we decided.
No.
Okay.
Yep.
What should I have asked you that I didn't ask you? Before this started, it's Ask the Commissioners with Jack Manning and Tony Amadio. Jack, you said you had a couple nice things to talk about. I don't want to give that short shrift.
I'm sorry to
stomp everybody's buzz with pleasantness.
I don't want to ruin your image and your reputation here.
No.
But I got to say a few words at the nurses' pinning Tuesday night at CCBC. 85 graduates of their Rad Tech program, practical nursing and associate's degrees, some of which are continuing on with Geneva. They have a partnership there. And that field and profession is near and dear to my heart. And I just love that nurses pinning. It's so poignant, very emotionally, very inspirational. But the best part was hearing, and this graduate's going to UPMC Passivant. This one's going to Heritage Valley. This one's going. I mean, every single one of them has a job and is probably being paid to go to school by that entity.
We need nurses and we need doctors.
Teachers.
We need teachers. We need as professionals.
We need a lot.
because we have a big population here, whether they want to believe it or not, and especially the elderly, they need the doctors. You try to go get a cardiologist now. Try to get an appointment.
A friend of mine needed an allergy appointment in 6 weeks.
It's just unbearable.
Yeah.
How long you have to wait. My wife needs a renewal on her drug. She can't get her an appointment at the cardiologist's office. I forget what she said. 6 weeks, I think it was.
It's real important when it comes to I'm almost out of pills.
Yes.
It took me 9 months.
And the doctor won't write him unless you
come in.
Sees you every 6 months or so.
For my annual physical, it's like 9 months ahead of time. They don't set it right up after the last one. You got to wait a few times and then go back and reschedule and stuff. But it's difficult. But the nursing profession is just so needed. I just admire them. I mean, let's face it, from birth to death, you're involved with healthcare and nurses. And my family has a history there and a background. My dad was a medical assistant on a hospital ship in the Navy, which spurred my older sister to become an RN. She traveled around the country in the Presbytery. They settled in Minneapolis. She was a nursing supervisor at a head trauma unit at a VA hospital until she passed away. And my brother-in-law passed away. Unfortunately, I lost both of them to two different forms of cancer within 18 months. But again, the nursing community came in and the hospice care that they had. So it's just a very meaningful, we both been around the hospitals enough to really, really appreciate the work that they do. And we can't get enough of them, and I hope the next graduating class is even more than 85 that got their degrees now.
Well, the big graduating class is tonight.
The big commencement is tonight.
I'll be there tonight.
Yeah, I will be at a Big Brothers Big Sisters appreciation dinner tonight at Penn State. They asked me to say a few words there, and they also do good work. They're folks that I admire. Being bigs to the girls and boys without parents or without a father, without a mother, and it's a very poignant thing for me to be there tonight in that as well.
I would so much rather talk about this than talk about reassessments or trains being jagged off.
As I said, there's a lot of positive things there. A lot of positive things. One of my favorite sayings, Edward Everett Hale. 18th century author, historian, and Unitarian minister. You may have heard this before.
I doubt it.
I am one.
I doubt it.
I am one, but I am one. I can't do everything, but I can do something. And I won't let what I can't do stop me from what I can do. And that's what I appreciate about volunteers for Big Brothers, Big Sisters, all the folks that are out there. We can't solve all the problems individually. But individually, we can do something to add value and be part of a community that I know I loved, that it's embraced in me 22 years ago. Like Tony said, he's been here since the 50s. This is a community that we love, and that's why we do what we do, is to see it thrive and to see it reach its full potential.
How necessary is it for you to go out and remind yourself of the good when a lot of your job, both your jobs, is hearing people squawk about the bad? Is it revitalizing for your soul?
Well, no, they squawk about the bad because if I'm sitting in my office and I'm reading my emails up, but I'm engaged with 4 or 5, maybe 6 dozen groups on a routine basis, and that's where I get grounded. That's where I understand and get firsthand knowledge of what's going on. These historical sites, Big Brothers, Big Sisters, the nursing community, CCBC. I'm out there trying to understand what people are thinking, what their issues are, and how I can help them solve their problems and remove obstacles.
I get that at Giant Eagle. A gas station, anytime you shop, anytime you go out.
In public.
That's the difference between state legislators and congressmen and senators versus commissioners. They're gone. We're here. We eat at restaurants with our constituents. We're every day with our constituents. We don't hide. There's no place to hide if you wanted to hide. That's what I like about the job. We know we have our ear to the ground because we're around the people that we need to hear.
You are able to relate because you spend every day relating.
Yes. When I taught,
I love people.
I shopped in my community. I did everything in my community.
Yeah.
I didn't. Some people would go to the next community and do that.
Right.
I did it here, so that when I did have a problem with a kid, I probably knew his mother and father, and they knew it.
It wasn't a first conversation when you had to call home.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you've heard me talk about the trust deficit before. The only way you can decrease the trust government deficit between government and people is by being present, being engaged, and listening.
And coming in and doing stuff like this, making yourself available.
That's why I'm here every month. So,
Jack Manning, Tony Amadio, commissioners, thank you.
Thank
make
you,
this
Eddie.
so easy. And you're right, nurses run the joint. Don't make the mistake of thinking doctors run hospitals.
Right.
They don't.
most people get along with the nurse before they can get along with everybody else.
Yeah, you want to stay alive and get that second square of green jello, you be nice to the nurse. It's Teleforum, it's Ask the Commissioners on Beaver County Radio.
Hey, Beaver County, there is a specialty bubble tea shop in New Brighton, Slurp and Burst Boba Tea. Visit them today and try one of their signature drinks. From smoothies, lemonades, slushies, milk teas, hot drinks, and more. Pick one or try them all. Pick a boba, a flavor, and a base and create your own drink. Looking to host a birthday party for kids or adults? They have you covered. Or how about a ladies' tea party? They have you covered there too. Stop by and book the event room. That's Slurp and Burst Boba Tea on 3rd Avenue in New Brighton. Come party with them.
If your monthly cash flow has slowed to a trickle, but your needs at this time of the year could use a full stream of cash, Friendly Federal Credit Union has just turned the spigot on for you in the form of our annual Shower of Loans event. This is Cindy Amadio, and the forecast is calling for showers. Go ahead and get soaked with cash for the things you need because Friendly Federal Credit Union has personal signature loans available. Right now, that can be used for just about anything. Feel that? I think it's starting to drizzle. Credit approval is required. In addition, applications for the Carl D. Ross and Anthony S. Pay Memorial Scholarships are now being accepted through the end of June. Click friendlyfcu.org or visit the Ella Crippa or Baden office for more information or to apply. It's the place that makes more sense for you and makes the most out of springtime showers. Friendly Federal Credit Union, member NCUA, Equal Housing Lender.